as we embark on the study of the Ten Commandments, it is very important, it's essential that we place them in the proper context, in the context of God's love and grace, in the context of salvation. If we don't, these commandments quickly become a club to beat over people's heads or a switch with which we torture ourselves. The Ten Commandments can only function properly if we listen to those first few words of grace. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the house of slavery. Translated into our New Testament time, these are the words of the Father who so loved the world that he sent his only Son to die for sinners. These 10 commandments are the words of the Son who redeemed us from the enslaving power of sin. Every Sunday morning we read the 10 commandments in our morning service, and that's a good custom, because we should know the standard of God's holiness. But it may give the wrong impression that we somehow, by pursuing that law, can obtain salvation. And that we can't. Paul couldn't, even though he was much more dedicated and precise in his law keeping than any of us. Pursuing the law as a way to righteousness is a dead end. So what went wrong? Paul says in verse 32, because they pursued it not by faith, but as if it were by works. Being right with God does not come from keeping the law, either a little bit or all of it. Being right with God comes only in the way of faith. Faith is reliance on God, not on yourself and not on what you do. Not even reliance on how well you listen to God or how hard you try to keep his commandments. Faith is following the way that the Lord points to his righteousness, not establishing your own righteousness. Well, I'm not telling you that there is no place for the law in the Christian life. If there were no place for the law in the Christian life, we would not read the 10 Commandments every Sunday morning. We should rip out Lord's Day 34 through 44 from our catechisms. The place of the law in the Christian life is summarized actually in Romans 10 verse 4. There is a place for the law. In this way, Christ is the end of the law, so that there may be righteousness for everyone who believes. In the Greek text, Paul uses the word telos. It's translated end here. Other versions of the NIV translate it as culmination. There's all kinds of possible translations. The idea is that Jesus Christ is the telos of the law. He is the end. He is the end point. He is the goal. He is the purpose of the law. So the idea is that everything in the law is eventually based on and directed at Jesus Christ. And that is why I titled my sermon, The Beginning and the End of the Law. Jesus Christ is both. And so the point of verse 4, of this very important verse, is that it is meaningless to read the law, to discuss the law, or to do the law, even the 10 Commandments, without taking into account Jesus Christ as its foundation, as its fulfillment, and as its force. The first commandment says, you shall have no other gods before me. So what does that mean in the light of Jesus Christ as the foundation, the fulfillment, and the force of the law? You shall have no other gods before me. That means you shall have no other gods than the Father of Jesus Christ, who sent his Son to save the world by the power of his Spirit. You shall have no other Lord than Jesus Christ, who taught you the kingdom principles of grace and love. You shall live no other life than the new life of the Spirit, who makes you more and more like Jesus. So if you want to take the first commandment seriously, here's the way. pursue the righteousness of faith. Stand before the Lord with empty hands, not with hands busy keeping the law. Stand before him with empty hands and admit frankly that you're helpless with the filth of sin all over you. Throw yourself on the grace of Jesus Christ and ask for his righteousness. Expect everything from him. Expect nothing from yourself. Denounce the idol of your own righteousness and embrace the freedom of Christ's righteousness, which is yours through faith in him.